the level that the Antrim playing the same competition as, that the Downs want to go up to. So, you know, they're the exact same across the board. So it's not as if we're trying to live in pipe dreams of somebody that's just so distant far away. So when we look at that, was there a difference?
Oh yeah.
You thought so, yeah?
Big time, massive. Much more physical. The Kilkenny boys are very, very physical, and the intensity of the game from, you see the goalie and those teams that took them, I don't know, nearly a minute to hit it.
They never really left that into, yeah.
The weather conditions could have made a factor in that. If extra final made it physical.
Say it again?
The weather conditions,
yeah.
extra final made it physical.
Right.
You know, it's drier and everything else.
But even when you go on to the final, when the Galway played Kilkenny again, even the physicality actually increased in the Leinster final.
I just think in the Antrim and Derry game, Antrim were all over there. There wasn't really a clip of Derry down in their own scoring range, whereas in the Galway Kilkenny game, it got as far as 14 on each side.
If you forget about the actual clip, you know, because we could have shown other end, it's just the intensity.
That clip there, the goalkeeper wasn't allowed to put the ball out because their boy changed his helmet. Because I was at that match.
So what are you contributing in, or what are you throwing out there?
Well, but like you're saying, the goalkeeper was slow. He wasn't allowed to hit the ball out because the boy was changed.
But what would, you know, you even go back again, I know you're sort of getting, you're going a wee bit.
The speed of the tackling wasn't greatly different as the time between Kilkenny can move the ball off, and between the compact competing at similar at times, but the speed of thought between passes would be greater, you know.
For me,
Oh, sure, we're not talking about. So, again, it's intensity, so you're talking about, in that and Derry, there's hits, you know, again, if you look at it, if you break it down into a small wee box and take one window of 3 seconds each, it's very, very similar. But that's when it progresses on, so that hit, and that could be an over encasement, but that hit happened in Croke, and it happened again, and it happened again, and it happened again. Anything else? I want to go back, will you be happy enough to say what you're going to say, or?
No, go ahead.
Because we actually have, it's a contributing factor.
You know what happened in the match? What happened? We went to Aircrow Park.
Again, so I try and forget about the match, just showing us
But at that level, it was on for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
But the highlight you were showing there of the ultra final, it was a highlight. It was not really consistent with the 70 minutes at all. So that there's a difference there. Like if I get a snapshot, there is a massive difference in the intensity of the two games.
Right. And any idea, or what would you, any feelings, what would contribute to that, or any contributing?
Well, it's maybe if you take things as a snapshot, you can do something for a period of time and you compete at a level, but we're not used to doing it versus being trained.
Okay.
I think the players believe the ball, if they're not in possession of the ball, they still believe until it's over the bar or over the end line or in the net, it's still there to be won, even though they don't have, they keep tackling and keep watching the opposition for that wee opportunity in the transition of the ball or whatever for the interception to keep that sort of opportunity going.
Other things we need to keep in the consideration are to, if you think back, think to the Antrim Derry game there, okay? You said you were at it, I've never seen the DVD, like, it must be, what was the crowd like?
No, very much.
None?
That's what I was going to say. You think it is, you know,
It has to be.
when you boosted the music up, because you click
The
back
music-
then,
yeah.
you see
Music made a
there's
difference
60,
as
80,000
well.
people.
The music made a bit of a difference as well. You're watching the Antrim Derry game and you have the
That's what it was sort of the way to show, like the noise would have been different at that one compared to that one. And that also lends itself to the intensity.
I thought the click in the Antrim Derry game there was a fair bit of intensity in that. The only difference I saw was a lot more roll lifts. There was a couple more roll lifts in the Galway and Kilkenny game. Nobody roll lift the ball, everyone was moving through.
First touch control.
They didn't have time to do it, they wouldn't get a chance to do it.
You're talking skill factors then?
Yeah.
That's
That's the biggest factor of all. If a player can get the ball in first touch control and deliver it or move quickly, you know, those rarely did a Galway or Kilkenny player need a second touch to get control of the ball, even under intense pressure. There was one incident there, and no disrespect to the Antrim or Derry players, I think 6 times the ball spilled or was fumbled before somebody got a clean possession and delivery. So that's the massive difference.
Well, if we look at the physicality of like Penny Galway, it's their shoulder. Every time as ballers getting hit with shoulder, the other clip, those tackles aren't going in.
You know, and don't, I know we could doctor, we looked through these DVDs for a right length of time, you know, it's very, very hard, you know, that okay, we could have went in maybe cut different pieces out where it maybe shows more intensity, but to be fair, they're two general, you know, all the two games we're looking at. Does that surprise anybody? Would that have been, if we'd asked you at the door coming in, we're going to show you, you know, down south, are they more intense? That was a question that we're looking at the start. You know, are they, the question that, are they faster, are they fitter, are they stronger? We'll deal with that later, but would you say that the hurling's more intense?
The hurling is definitely more intense, as that man there said, like, that passage player roughly is on the same amount, and there's no decent, good hard shoulder in the Derry Antrim game. But even when the Kilkenny or Galway fellas, even if they don't have to get the ball, there's one fella who broke 4 tackles, and they were like good, hard, strong shoulders. That level seems to be missing in the Ulster game. Maybe it's because they're not acquainted with it enough.
Would it be fair to say, now, don't get me wrong, I'm no expert in hurling, but watching Antrim and Derry, some of the Antrim boys would get the ball, and they don't have to break tackles. Tackles aren't there to be broken.
Well,
that's not the fault of the team on the ball.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well.
You look at Kilkenny when they gather the ball, Kilkenny were gathering the ball, Galway men were in their face.
They're in each other's face,
So,
both of them, yeah.
Was that the difference?
Southern hurling's much more direct. They don't run sideways or backways. They try to go forward at all. They only go left or right or backwards if the way forward isn't clear.
The thing, I know we're saying that just well on that, but the one thing that stuck me was the thing that Elton boy at the ball, was carting the ball, and he's been through in goal, and the Derry boy, there's maybe 3 of them run towards the goal. You saw, who was it, got the ball? They came on the corner, and Jesus, I don't know, it must have gone away, must have come out of the stands. You know, it is that intense, so that's the intensity of it. But then again, if you want to go back to the other question then, so keep that question still in the back of your head, does that mean they're fitter and faster and a higher skill level? You know, we don't need the answer, but that's, you know, that's what we're talking about, is balancing it up. So if we're saying, yep, they're more intense, we also must balance it up, keep it in your head, because we can't go and look at it, are they fitter, faster and better skill level? We'll move on.
Right. That's our first result that we got. Now looking at the very basic GPS stuff, looking at distance. Alright, so on your left is your Munster team, the next one is your Ulster team, then the University team and the Ulster minor team. Right, fairly clear to see on that. Would that result surprise anyone? Would anyone have expected that sort of result?
Is there anything stands out in that result?
Your Munster team would deliver a higher distance.
What's that, the players?
This is an average of the 10 players we looked at, so their average distance was, say the Munster boys, 7,249 metres average distance per game.
Bear in mind that they're more efficient with the ball. It is surprising that they are actually still covering more ground because they are making the ball work.
Right.
How clever it is to see.
What was that?
They're doing far more work off the ball in comparison to, you see some of the Antrim and Derry ones, you see boys in the background walking about, like, whereas in the match, in the Kilkenny and Galway match, apart from having a Cork man sitting slagging off every Kelly man beside me here, you know, the boys, when they don't have the ball, they're working hard to say to get a tackle or else to get into a position to receive the ball.
Alright.
Like, the whole thing, like, this thing that I see is that within the couple of clips was that up here in Ulster you played a long ball, you know, like in '99 Jimmy Barrymore played short ball, you know, he played a running game, you know, and that's what Baker Kenny in '99, like, you know.
That's what I was going to say about that. Watching the clips the second time there, it struck me even in the Ulster game, there seemed to be a whole lot more space, and I think that's because the players are more inclined to stay in their positions, you know, whereas in that other game, you know, everybody was after the ball, which in itself generates an awful lot more movement.
Is that a fair comparison now? Like that's Kilkenny and Galway in an All-Ireland final?
Leinster final?
Pardon?
Leinster
final. And that was an under 21 Antrim and Derry?
No,
That says it all in, doesn't it? That was the Ulster final. So they're both compiling both Leinster finals from last year.
Was under 21?
No, senior.
Senior.
So senior final and senior final.
Same.
It's actually in the
Right. We'll move on from that one, alright, but just bear in mind, alright, that's the distance. And I'm going to throw another factor into that. The first one, the Munster game here, was over 70 minutes. The Ulster game was over 70 minutes. This UCD game was over 60. And this Ulster game was over 50. Alright? How does that affect it? If we allow that to count for the minutes, that's what you get. Average running per minute. The big one that stood out to us, if your Ulster team, your Ulster senior county team, 91. It's almost 10% below what the Munster boys are doing. But the Ulster minor setup is covering more distance per minute than an Ulster senior team.
The first thing that stood out to me, I would probably the Ulster minor match is probably played against a southern team or a better opposition.
The Athlone team was also played against Southern opposition.
The opposition probably Carlow, was it?
Carlow. Right, just let me bring your Kildare Carlow back.
No, but like that's what we're saying, as in the opposition you're up against or what you're actually facing as a factor.
Yeah, that's a fair point, like, and it's a good point, but that's probably one of the things that would sway towards. But I mean, there's a couple of things to me that struck us, not the big one. You know, the two southern teams are still both ahead of the two Ulster teams. Regardless of what level, regardless of opposition, they're still ahead of them.
That's just basic fitness.
That's basic distance that they cover in a game. And that's allowing for the minutes, that allows somebody who's taken off, you know, substitute or any injuries or anything like that. That's allowing for all that, so that's the average across the board.
The style of play brought into that, you know.
Well, we didn't really bring style of play into it for the purpose of that.
Something that you are touching on there is the Munster, you know, was kept the UCC. We allowed the centre back maybe didn't move more than this room. You know, now all of his runs were explosive runs. They never moved any further than the distance in this room. That was the ground he covered that day, and he just played a holding, you know. So it takes all that into account, whether you're going to be the man, you know, the Ronan McWilliams centre forward, stand beside the goalkeeper, or you know, or as I say, the man that sits in the pocket and picks up all the ball. It allows for it, takes on board all that.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on to a couple of them. I apologise. There's a sort of series of graphs here, but we'll get through them all. Sorry. That one there is over the course of the game. So every 5-minute period, there's a point on that, and you'll see the pattern. So across the whole sort of thing, the tip team were basically above Antrim. For a couple of times, Antrim would have picked up above them, but for the majority of the tip, we're tracking above them. All right. So it's just that one's only thrown up to see, and you'll see the pattern. Starts off with a massive high intensity and dips down. It's the same no matter what level you play at, or no matter what code it's in. You seem to get that sort of pattern. High intensity running surprised me, and I wasn't going to put this in. We talked about it, and we weren't going to put it in. High intensity running is basically distance covered at 3/4 pace or in sprints. All right, so when you're up to that speed, we looked at it from, you know, the Ulster team have delivered more than the Munster team. Why is that? Now, when I went back and was looking at videos and looking through it, the reason started to come to me. When you look at the Antrim game against Derry, the Antrim boys would get the ball, there was space, they were able to run, they were able to get up to that speed. If Kilkenny get the ball, was there space? Were they able to get up to 3/4 pace before they were hit or they were nailed? Didn't happen. Alright, so that seems to be what has led to that. Alright, and why there's that bit of a difference. The Ulster minor one, you can disregard it on account of the age factor on that, because there's obviously differences of speeds and age development and stuff like that for that graph. But it was an interesting one, and then when you looked at it, you could realise why the reasons were. That's the answer to one of our questions.
Are they quicker? Are they faster? You know, you come in the door, you hear it all the time, right or wrong, you hear it all the time. Are they faster? Yeah. There's the readings up there. That's the number of the game, that's the team averages, that's the sprint speeds. Are they faster? No. You think so, yeah?
Well, there's
Ulster 17.1, Ulster
top speed is 16.
I can't understand that why you're not accepting the graph before it.
It's not that I'm not accepting it.
But you're putting a proviso with it. Like,
no,
you know.
what this will record the top speed recorded over the course of the game. Alright, now you can argue that not every player in the Munster setup during that game will have hit their top speed, but on what I've looked at, every player at least once in the game will hit their top speed. Every player at least once in the game will have covered at least 30 metres in a straight line. Is that fair to say? So at that stage you should be up to the full speed. Alright, now whether it does or doesn't happen, that's that.
But reactionary speed, I mean, we may be quicker over a longer distance or that distance you're recording, but you know, if we're not first to move.
Reactionary speed, yeah. But this is looking purely at their ability to run fast. Right, so their ability to move and get across that ground fast. And that would prove to me that there's no difference. There's not, regardless of any other argument, there's nothing significantly different in any of those. You can't argue to me that the Munster team are still faster than an Ulster team.
I think that's that could be a little bit misleading though. I don't think there's any difference Antrim players running like video after one player with the ball, you know what I mean? It's a stat, and it's clear, but it doesn't reflect, I think, what goes on in the game.
No, look,
We're not coming to the game end of it.
We're not looking at
This is just purely are the quicker. We come to the game end though.
Are the quicker? No, according to
The way to
that.
work it, the best way to work is Kevin do the stats, I'll do the game and do the
You let him know
stats. So if
that.
he's talking about that, it's about stats. I'm not going to say anything.
But that, to me, that question's answered. They're not quicker. Alright, there'll be subtle differences, yes. And I do take on points that, you know, with the style of the game and stuff, they may not prefer to say, but there's nothing going to be significantly different than any of that. We'll move on. No. This one here, take me 30 seconds to try and explain what I mean by accelerations and decelerations. Going to your point of, and I suppose to a certain extent your point of, players might not have to travel far enough before they have to stop, they have to go a different direction or whatever happens, alright? So they're all effort. So if I make, you know, a full effort to get over to Owen where he is with the camera, I'm not going to travel far enough to get up to 3/4 pace even. So that's not going to register as high intensity running. But what that will register as is a high intensity acceleration. Alright? Likewise, if I'm running like halfway to Owen and I have to stop because the ball's gone over my head and I have to get back, I stop and turn. That's deceleration and acceleration. They're all high intensity, they're all read as high intensity.
In the game situation, that's going back to what Rowan said earlier, that's your runs. That's, you know, I like get the ball and make a run for him. You know, we may move the ball on, that's the end of the run, maybe haven't got the full speed. That's basically the amount of times that you're going to push yourself to make a run, to cover, to support a man, all them sort of small parts of the game.
So, on average, it's fairly clear. There's not much difference between tip team and the UCD team. 3 or 4. On average, across the team, alright? Antrim are a bit off. Right, a fair bit off. Right, I didn't actually convert that into percentage, but if that was converted into percentage, it's probably sitting at around about 20% below it or so. Alright? So that's a right bit off. For as Mickey has pointed out, teams that are supposedly playing at the same level, or at least Antrim are aspiring to play at the same level. Alright? And again, the Ulster one will take into account the fact that this is based on a number. Alright? So that game was played over a lesser distance, as was this one, the UCD one. So if you did it average per minute, it would probably scale out.
Is that based on that Ulster final?
No.
No, this is your...
No, these aren't based on the Ulster final. We used those as, we had videos of those, and so these are based on games that we've done, which unfortunately we didn't have the capacity to do as well. Would have been nice to have done that, but we didn't have the capacity.
How many games was it you analysed?
We've done one for each of these teams. It's a very small study. I'll point that out, this is all a very small study, but we are intending to progress further. So.
You see, these are all average. So it's going to be the intensity of the matches as well. Because if you're going to get hit harder, your acceleration's going to be less, or your speed's going to be less. If you're taking more hits during a game than you would be if it was come back from there, say for example the Ulster final there and the Leinster final.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're the best intensity of those matches, those are really.
Again, that's one of the things we're looking to do, is to see, is the intensity different, and if so, is it physical, is it to do with this sort of stuff, you know, is it to do with the efforts that are being put in. The accelerations, it just sort of, to be honest, it's the best one to look at. It's hard to get your head around what exactly the constitution acceleration, but it's the best one to look at for trying to take into account, if you like, the intensity of a game or the physicality of a game, because it will factor all that in. See what I'm saying? Trying my best to explain. I don't know if that answered what you said there or not. But
I suppose we don't know the matches that you use.
You don't know the exact game.
You don't know the matches since you know back
I never really looked at the Camogie, because the debate was on the Camogie as well. Our final day shows junior, intermediate and senior, and you can see the step up through. And perhaps, I would suggest perhaps the difference in acceleration, deceleration is the fact that senior players are continually on the move, even though the ball's lower. So there is a wee momentum which will help the acceleration and deceleration.
I wouldn't argue that. I think that's a fair point, and I think you're making a fair point as well. But I'll go back to what Mickey pointed out at the start. We're not comparing Cookstown and Man United. We're comparing Antrim and Tipperary, who are supposedly, they're both senior inter-county teams. You know, so what is the difference?
Would it be fair to say, back to what you're saying, like acceleration, deceleration, and sort of using as a change of direction, could you make a correlation between that and reactionary speed?
No, the reactionary speed, there's not, look, to be honest with that, unless we had ball tracking involved in this as well, you can't really allow for reactionary speed. And unless you had, say, Mark and Mickey, unless you had a unit on both of us, it would be very hard to do that as well, which wasn't the case. But look, the next graph might explain a wee bit more on this. Acceleration, deceleration, right? So this is separated out from the average and looked at each player. Now, you first look at it, there's just a lot to take. Disregard number 8, alright, that was a unit failure, the unit didn't work on that one, alright, so disregard that one, that was taken out of everything. So, just to point that out before anyone questions what he was doing. He just laid down at the throne.
I'm watching.
But if you look at the pattern, and the big thing for me, see these, I don't know if you can see that wee red dot line first. Forward line with the tip weight compared to the antrim knots. Alright? They're almost double. In fact, I think they're exactly double in a couple of situations. They're not quite, but they're near enough. Alright? And then you look at the antrim defenders. So how much harder are they having to do? How much more efforts they having to put in? And what do the antrim defenders do?
Trying to keep up with
what are defenders doing?
Trying to keep
up with the forwards that are working. So that would serve to say the team antrim were playing that day, their forwards were putting in efforts up around this level, whereas the antrim forwards were only putting in this level. Alright? Now people can argue with me, it might have been more ball and all the rest, but that, to me, that there is nowhere near the level you'd want. Nowhere near the level you would want. That, compared to this here, you know, this gap here is maybe, it's not far off being double. Alright, for players playing in the same position.
It's fair to say then, Kevin, that the antrim backs and forwards were doing the same training, backs were putting in a bigger effort in the game.
It could be backs putting in a bigger effort. I would largely put it down to the fact that the team antrim were playing against, their forwards were working harder than the antrim forwards, which meant that the antrim defenders then had to work harder, because they had to cover that. You know, it's not that the defenders come out and try to work hard to get things moving. The defenders were probably for the large part forced to do it by the opposition playing more intensely.
Even a thing to keep in mind here is, this isn't the case of us sitting saying, I can practice smoking, I like him texting McManus there saying he should get slated here. This isn't the case of us wanting to sit here and say, we're not doing this and they are and they're brilliant. What we're trying to look at here is, everybody here's a coaching conference, thanking coaches. So if we're starting to get ideas, you know, we're standing there and we're going, Jesus Christ, how did Lockie do this again, or how did Carlo? We're starting to maybe see wee small patterns here. Now it's a small study as we're saying, but if there's a small pattern there, you know, already we should be starting to think, I know it's going to come up next. If you want to flick it up, the Ulster one. You know, we have a match this evening. I'm going to hammer our forwards, because there's our results from the last game. Our forwards didn't work hard enough. They're making wee runs, and I'm thinking, geez, they hope Mickey saw that run. I look alright there, don't they? I made a wee run there. And a lot of our runs are for aesthetics, to look good. You know, geez, I made the run there. We're not prepared to make the run and then you turn away with the ball. That's me done. We're not prepared to make the second and the third and the fourth run. So that's something that we're going to look at today. You know, when we get away this weekend in the Hilton, isn't it, when we're going to? That's what we're going to look at, is, you know, we're going to be looking at, boys, another thing that's not on here, we were able to do was hits. You know, we made no hits in our Dublin game, we're going to be talking about that. So try not to think out there, he's talking about, we've 3 antrim boys who are done well, or who's he saying that about doing? That's not about this. What we're trying to do now, and we throw some wee things up, and as we come through it, hopefully at the end we're going to be challenging you as coaches to say, right, okay, possibly our intensity is not right, or possibly our intensity isn't as good as we think it is, what can we do about it?
Well, movement off the ball, there's an element of defending from the front there too. Whenever a forward loses the ball, they like, you know, what come up and then flips is, if Kilkenny lost the ball, you know, they're right off after the looking for it again, and Galway man had it, there's 3 of them right away. So the forwards are, as well as making runs off the ball to get possession,
I mean,
all also defend from the front, trying to get the ball back.
All that comes into it. Again, it all comes down to intensity of play. You know, the intensity is that bit higher, not that bit of a third degree higher when you look at it. We'll move on.
I'm going to defend our full forward here. We told the state they just square by
right, this one here, and this will answer another question that we raised. Are they fitter? Now that's an average heart rate. Anyone who knows anything about it, fair enough, you're feel free to fire an answer. If not, I'm going to explain my way through it, but quickly through it. I want to keep moving on here. Their average heart rate is relative to their maximum heart rate. So their maximum heart rate I gathered at some stage through the game, you know, wherever they picked up. Then we look at their average where it was over the course of the game. So basically, the higher average heart rate would indicate that Antrim have worked harder than Tipperary. It's only slightly higher. What's the big difference? We'll come across it in the first one. Who covered more distance? Tipperary had more run. Tipperary covered more distance, but Antrim had a higher heart rate. What's that telling me? Antrim weren't as fit as Tipperary. Now, I've had a conversation with various different people and said, look, stage of the year and training patterns were probably different, that's fair enough. And you take that on board. But if you were asking me, were they fitter? On that, yes. Munster team are fitter. They're not faster, but they're fitter. And that's, you can't get any clearer than putting that stat up, to be honest. That proves it. Alright. Michael, skill execution, the speed. Mickey did a wee bit of work on this. Where's it gone? Alright.
So somebody brought up earlier about the game itself, the scale of the game itself, is one used to possibly. When we looked at the game, we actually took then the Leinster final and the Ulster final, and we took 6, 12 and 14, that was the positions. And what we done, we watched the game with time, so when 6 the ball with time along with the ball, and 14 and 12, etc. And at the end of the game, when we looked at the Galway 6, 12 and 14 were on the ball in possession for 0.9 seconds. 0.9 seconds, so that was in possession moves on or shot or whatever. So what does that tell us about that game?
Decision making speed.
Very, very quick.
But what does that take in then? Takes in your, you talked about? Skill, yes. Your decision making. Execution, your support play and stuff, doesn't it? And we've done the same again if we look it up. Well, we also seen the Hurling Championship was 0.8, exactly double. Now 1.8 is still extremely quick. When you're talking about that top level, the talk about split seconds. So we thought of a way, maybe we could demonstrate this, and I see if you just give one of the down hurling coaches who are so lucky, he's the forefront of everything. It's awful hard to keep away from volunteering for things, and no matter when it's on, he's always up there. Card, come on up here a second, and then so we may as well take Kildare's very own. Let's go, Che Guevara. Come on ahead, I'll come. Okay, Card just here, hold the ball for me. Want to get the timer? Paul just there, so just throw the ball each way. You can hold it hard. Just wanted to test your hand. That's the first time I've seen you catch a ball. Well, then David to the ground looking at a free out. Yes. Okay. You feel free if you want to. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to look at the difference between the two. Okay. So on the whistle, I want you thrown. All right. On the whistle. Wait on the whistle. There you go. Free in. So we're going to start, and we'll go with the Antrim one to start with.
Just on the whistle.
On the whistle. So you. We'll start again. Sorry.
Just the whistle.
Yeah. Okay.
You messed that up. You can't just go back up on the next whistle.
On the next whistle. What did you do in the interview for this job? You're the prerequisite for somebody with a southern accent. We'll have a clue. What you do? Used to play road bowls. Okay. Right. We'll go again. Hold it.
Good job down here.
Oh, look, there we go. The excuses. Big.
Come on, moving on.
We'll certainly say it again, because I thought we're going to oh no, that's not. Get in there, Rose, Ronan. So, his GPS is 0. No wonder Mickey Johnson went and didn't get seen here Christmas. Go away. Hardy, you stay here. You stay here. Ronan, come on up. Please, come on.
Run.
Not the difference between there. I heard the
What's your answer, right? Try it again. What is that? That's all. Go again. Everybody get a complete mess up. We'll try and get 10 seconds of this. Relax on you're looking awful pent up there.
Back up the speed.
game. You see a different speed? That's the difference in speed. Because what actually happened then too when we went to different speeds?
Control was
Did it
better.
better, didn't it? Did it better, yeah. But you see that, so if we want to talk about the game, we can talk about running speed, we can talk about acceleration speed, we talk that 0.9 seconds and 1.8 seconds is the breakdown of the game. So they were on the ball, it was gone, 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 decision made, gone, broke tackle, gone. Whereas even though 1.9 seconds or 1.8 seconds is still extremely quick, it's a hell of a storm we're looking at.
Right. Right. How important is belief?
So again, what we look at here is, when we sort of sat and thought about it, you know, we're sort of coming to the end here, and we're thinking about sort of starting to look at outcomes. When we thought about it, what contributes to intensity is belief linked to it. What do you think?
Of course it is.
Yeah. Carl automatically believed a lot more than Roman, didn't he? But you know, belief is a massive part of it. You know, and I know there even the boys will be sick to themselves, and I'll join them here. Lockheed developed that element of belief over the last 2 years, didn't it? You know, that maybe was lacking in 4, 5, 6, 7 years previous, and they developed that element of belief. And you know, other counties, as you can see, you know, I worked with Rossa for that year, and they were thereabouts, and they believed, even in the years they get beat, they believed, and they added that wee bit to it. You know, the Derry promotion stuff of last year, did they believe that wee bit, you know, and it got them and stuff over the line. So what we ask the question is, if belief is a key part in intensity, what comes first? You have to believe in what you're doing, and then you believe in your teammates, and intensity comes, or is it only through seeing everybody else's intensity that you start to believe? What do you think?
Yes, believe first. Of course, believe first.
Yeah.
Believe with faith.
You went to the Maher final, yeah?
I believe.
What came first, what?
Intensity.
You had the intensity, so when you go out, so you would have went in the start of that year, Tom?
Pardon?
You would have went in the start of that year, and the sessions would have been as intense, or did that build up?
I would have stepped up, but
So, did the belief come in, or the intensity come in?
no, not a belief, I think that intensity.
Yeah, in Cushendall then?
You have to get them in that frame of mind first of all, so I think the belief has to be there, the belief in the whole system, the belief in the coaches, the belief in the work they're doing, and then I think the intensity, when they buy into that, then I think the intensity comes.
Paul, whenever you finished texting that young girl in Kildare, you were flying there last year, Kildare. What happened?
The games we were getting outside of we were in Division 2B league. We weren't happy with them games, so we were actually getting harder games during the week. So we were playing tip intermediates, like Dublin Carroll. We were trying to play the teams.
When you had that, they used the belief in each other, or what came first, the intensity or belief?
There was a bit of we bought into what the manager was doing. He brought a level of professionalism, and he brought in a trainer, a tip trainer as well. He kind of a big thing that was brought in as well was there was 2 players competing for every position. That was you.
What was yourself, your experience in court? Was it, in any years, the belief would it be massive? Would it?
Yeah, but
You should have just kept it. Yeah, that would be a great answer. Yeah.
yeah, well, see, the club that I would have been in would have been kind of more football, you know. So the hurling, the club, yeah.
The jumping egg,
I like playing football for a lot of it, but no.
So, I mean, it's something that maybe you haven't even been thought of, or maybe don't think about. You know, you see, and geez, they're just not working, or they're not putting it in, and because the element of they don't believe. You know, for how long? You know, again, I'll go back to that. I know it's an experience. How long did Lockheed go to Kearson Park? A bit last year, a bit year before, a bit year before. It's going to happen again this year. And all of a sudden, once maybe when a wee gym or something change that, all of a sudden they get that belief, and look what they want to do. You know, even there with Portaferry, how long did you go to the championship?
2006.
In a 3-horse race for the town. So what happened then?
I don't know, our probably the belief that we start training in the morning again for this year. And we're going to start day 1 tomorrow. Just get it in belief. We run out of the change rooms in Casement Park this year in the Ulster final. There wasn't us that wrote it up above the door. It was there. You ever wrote it up before? That was the word. It wasn't belief.
But then, did you notice a change in belief last year? And there must have been a change in, you know, Like I know even from talking to some of the players.
Last year, a lot of boys were given chances. You know, from young players up. If you weren't being prepared to do it, or no matter who you were, I'll get him to do it. If he's become.
What does that bring then? Intensity.
And it also brings, I think, from other members of the team. Here, I better put my ideas up here because if he drops in for somebody else.
Now Swapper went and won the championship last year.
I was going to say, like, belief probably is the most important thing because we're probably.
Yeah, it was the year before, and
yeah, we were like the back case of getting sort of had the back and saying it was coming. We got to the final 4 years ago, and we've sort of plateaued a wee bit. Sort of things were the belief wasn't there, so people were only pretending or they weren't putting in 100%. But equally, they got to the county final and won it because they believed they were good enough. But equally, they went out to Port Fairy that day and just decided. I think it was in their head. We've done our best and we can't reach that.
So when we're talking about emotional intensity, we're talking about belief. You know, belief is such a key part in the whole realm of it. So it brings us back to what we're looking at for our key thing. The title of it was if intensity is hurling, what results are stand. So if we were to ask that question then, do we match Leinster, Munster and Galway for intensity? Possibly not. Are other factors to blame then? Mental approach.
Yes.
Anybody want to give us some nice...
yeah.
An example of a mental approach.
Well, I'll talk from one point of view. Like we're only still developing as a hurling, but within then we used to look at the yards as something probably is what Ulster looks at down south.
Yeah.
And we used to go, geez, we're playing the yards this week, we're probably going to get a hiding or we're going to lose, you know, that sort of thing. Whereas, you know, as our underage teams have developed and came through, you know, we started more competitive in the matches. You know, they're not up there on a pedestal anymore. You know, we're playing against most of the intermediate teams and giving them a game, and the odd time we get to win against them, and you lose that. It's nearly a fear of it, you know, in some boys' eyes, and that, you know, it's to get over that sort of mental issue that is there, you know.
You know, I mean, it's a player's own approach. I mean, you can take individual snaps, you know, of a senior under-20 hurler and Ulster on Tuesday, text the manager, tell him still drunk from finishing the exam on Monday, not be there tonight, I'll see you on Thursday. You know, I spoke to Breen Ryan beforehand and said to Breen, what way would that go down in Kilkenny? He says, the man never be spoke to again. And that's the mental approach to it. And the flip side of that, you know, I think Laura and Paulie were up used 2 years ago, Tom, and they stayed with me. And after training that night, they came home, so it must have been 10 o'clock. And I back now, it's 10 o'clock, and I geez, I have, you know, me, so I have the cloud bags on, ready to go disco dancing like. And the two boys get in, and they had to go for a run. It was 10 o'clock at night, it was pitch black, and like something of a Rocky film, I'm driving behind them, with full beam headlights, and they went and done a 6 or 7 mile run. You know, and that there's a mental. We watched it, I asked Kevin a question when we were down with the Tipperary team. As soon as the game was over, they were straight in with their shakes and with their protein and stuff, and they already started the recovery process for next week. Alfred, you maybe saw it too?
Wasn't the same. No, it was on the same. There was certain things that were the same, but that wasn't. You know, they weren't coming straight away thinking about recovery, the next training session, stuff like that. They were more coming in thinking, right, get back up this road and get out for a couple of pints in Belfast or something. I don't know that for sure, but it just seemed to be more sort of relaxed approach to starting. No, but it was more relaxed approach to starting the recovery process.
You know, that's a mental. So there, if we looked at are we intense? No, mental, and it's not because what Michael Hearn wrote or something in the Irish News last year and talked about that. You know, you can't be a senior county hurler on a Sunday. It has to be the all week long. So look, are there ways that we can improve our intensity as coaches? Is there ways that we can instill? You know, if you're talking about the recovery, or you're talking about the preparation and stuff, is there buying in? If you're talking about the belief, if belief's part of that intensity, can we make them buy in, or not make them, but can we create that environment from the buy-in that they want to be part of it, that we're therefore progressing it? How can our training, I want to talk about this now for a minute. How can our training affect intensity?
You're training too long.
Huh?
You're training too much.
Even just think of the session.
You're training too low in the
session. Right. I wrote up a couple of things there. You know, hits, intensity, and skills under pressure. They were the key things that came out of our talks earlier. Would we agree with it again? Our skills under pressure, our hits and stuff that adds intensity, and our intensity itself. So when we run the session, how many sessions do we run where nearly there probably is no hits, where there is no intensity? How many times I've seen it in my own, maybe to like that because I didn't hold myself, I've seen it in my own club, where like there's 24 lads of training, and all of a sudden it's 12v12 full pitch. So where's the intensity going? Oh, what do you do? What kind of match? Not a match. You know, where is the intensity? Where is this? We're not here to talk about turns of small-sided games, but are we bringing the intensity to our training? How can we expect our intensity on match day to reach the level if we're not on training days? So to summarise, what do I mean by intensity? Well, we talked about the physical intensity, the emotional intensity, and the mental end of it. You know, how do we compare? We are slightly below. Our mental intensity, spoke about it a wee bit there. You know, we spend time talking to development squads about nutrition and hydration. It's a common thing every year. It generally takes one, you know, you get 8 sessions for development squads and brilliant, and get one straight away. I get a man and talk about nutrition and hydration, or strengthening and conditioning, and many of them actually follow through. Whereas, you'll love this, Polly. So you stand on the tip of the right dressing room, it was like, thought it was a calendar for one of the fireman thing, like they're just every one of them. Emotional intensity, we don't believe.
Temporary head dressing room like that one time in my lifetime.
You what?
We let them crying one time too.
That's a different course, I think, so we just don't believe. Would that be fair? You know, we just don't believe. I spoke to Bring Man in here and I showed him it, and we talked about if, and we'll keep using an example, if Down were going to play Kilkenny in a game, I said to Bring, you know, they're probably beaten if they get on the bus, and he says to me, no, they're beating the fixture comes out. Which is true. Our skill execution, we showed it here, the difference in our skill execution is slightly lower. And then our skill execution success, I'm glad Eugene's here, that's what Kevin's going to do for next year's conference. He's going to do a full program on it.
You're not mistaken next year because you're
So finally, let's leave it as coaches. We need to speed up, we need to increase our work rate, we need to pressurise everything, we need to raise our expectations, and we need to believe.